Lots going on as usual. Today is Monday, April 14th, 2025. And Jagmeet Singh, according to one polling aggregator, says that he's going to lose his seat, but he's going to be to a liberal, so no change, really. So, right? Katy Perry has just launched herself into space. Not kidding at all, with Amazon's Blue Origin or something like that. And it's ridiculous. We've got footage, not of the actual launch or anything like that, but of all the women getting ready for being launched into space yesterday. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we'll watch that at the end of the show. Anti-white racism in England's National Health Service. Yes. Are you surprised? No, absolutely not. I'm not surprised. That's what's going to happen in Canada too. And people were saying, like, why do you have an issue with foreign doctors, Mark? I don't have an issue with foreign doctors. I have an issue with the plan being, listen, we have this problem and the solution is import all these people from a different country. Why don't we solve our problems here? Why don't we be self-sufficient and solve the issue here? I don't have a problem with people who are able and capable coming in and doing Blue Seal tests. It's probably a better system than what we've got now. But at the same time, that shouldn't be the solution. The solution should be, oh, we didn't realize, we're going to turn that up here and have homegrown nurses, doctors, and whatever. And we're going to not be idiots and pay them properly. Anyway, I digress. There's other issues with Canada's healthcare system, clearly, but paying doctors, having doctors access, all of that stuff is core to it. Bitchute is shutting down in the United Kingdom as well because of its speech laws. Ozempic for children, says Obesity Canada. What's better? I mean, self-control, forget that. Just take the shot. Okay, that's way better. Way better than self-control. You can eat whatever you want, but the Ozempic will prevent you from being able to eat whatever you want. Brutal arrest of Natasha Montreal in Montreal. She's at a Hamas or pro-Hamas protest. She was filming and she got taken down. I've got that footage for you. Mike Benz talks about USAID funded NGOs to get organizations to demand censorship laws, and that starts the engine of the kind of societal change that we're witnessing at a very, very fast pace. And he goes through it. It's really, really interesting. So we'll talk about that because I think that we're subject to that kind of attack as well. And it's happening in real time. And just because USAID has been defunded doesn't mean Global Affairs Canada and the apparatuses worldwide, including the British United Kingdom or Australia or any of the other countries that are aligned with this globalist idea, they're still putting money into it. So all of this stuff is still happening and the censorship is still being demanded and acted on. And Mike Benz breaks it down. It's a 37-minute video. I watched it while I was working out this morning, but there's a 3-minute kind of thing that we'll look at. It's very, very worthwhile and eye-opening. And I think that there's abundant evidence that we are playing a rigged game. It's all rigged. And we should not participate in this. And I'm not saying we should not vote. I'm saying that we should fix the rigged game and say, we can't play this rigged game. It's like playing with rigged dice. Would you keep throwing the dice if like kept coming up snake eyes? No, you'd be removed from the game because you'd keep losing and you have to pay money and stuff, right? Like, so we're being tricked. The CPC, so the Liberal government, their war room came up with this idea and they acted on it. And then they bragged about it in an Ottawa bar for real to a CBC reporter. So that's interesting. So this is Buttongate. So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, we're starting with the CPC because the election, blah, blah, blah. It's still the worst election in modern history, right? This has not been fun. It's not an interesting election. There's nothing really going on. Mark Carney's awful. We're not being offered really any choice about anything. Everybody's saying we're going to do counter tariffs, dollar for dollar counter tariffs. Everything is the same, basically. And the one person who's offering different stuff is not really getting much play. So what are you going to do, right? And we're going to get handed what we get handed, and we're going to take it just like the Americans took Biden. And that sucks. That's terrible to know. Anyway, regardless of all of that, the Liberal war room, which only goes up in the polling. I don't know why. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what they do. Doesn't matter how terrible Mark Carney looks or how badly he speaks, how many uhs he says. It doesn't matter how many laws he breaks. It doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter how many sex trafficker pictures he's got. It doesn't matter. The polls just keep going up and we're just supposed to take it and ignore it, right? And say, oh yeah, well, that's how politics goes in Canada. I guess all those boomers just are all turning out to vote and they're all voting for Mark Carney. Weird. Fred says the Elections Act, Section 91, bans false statements to mislead voters. Section 320 requires authorized tags. Violations can mean up to $50,000 in fine and 5 years in jail. Sure, those buttons may seem like a small prank, but they may also be criminal. So these buttons, well, I'll let this guy explain it. JJ McCullough says, this is wild. Pierre Poilievre isn't being Trump-like enough for the Liberals. So they have agents creating false conservative campaign merch in an attempt to gaslight the public into accepting their alternate reality. Now, it's even more insidious than that. This layers into a campaign that says the conservatives are not going to accept the election result. They're going to say the election's rigged because we, the Liberals, are going to win. And here's the proof. Their fake merch says "Stop the Steal," and Jenny Bryan and Corey T are pretend badges that have been made up to make it seem like the conservatives are don't have any confidence in the election, in the polls, and they don't, or in the election results, and they're saying it's going to get stolen and we should stop the steal, and it's fake. It's all a liberal war room plot, and they admitted to it. Right? So it's like, it's pretty interesting. Brian Passafume says, new from me, Liberal campaign workers are accused of planting a variety of buttons at last week's CSFN convention in downtown Ottawa, a disinformation scheme that unraveled after a CBC reporter overheard them bragging about it in an Ottawa pub. I mean, you get your smartphone out and you start recording, don't you? I mean, a little bit. I think she was sitting at the table, or whoever was sitting at the table. He says, I managed to uncover more buttons on top of the CBC story, ranging from Make Canada Great Again to Lock Justin Up, and a vote for Carney is a vote for Wexit. Okay, so there it is. There is no climate crisis. It's time to stay calm because there is no climate crisis. Danielle Smiths for CPC Leader 26, Free Alberta, Make Canada Great Again, Lock Justin Up, a vote for Carney is a vote for Wexit. Some of these may be real, honestly. Are these all? And this is Stop the Steal and Make Canada Great Again. So, but admittedly, they admit it themselves. Brian says, for those dismissing this story as bullshit and proclaiming the Liberal Party couldn't possibly be involved, I began emailing them seeking a comment at 1:38 p.m. yesterday afternoon. As of 7:47 p.m., there's been no reply, no denial, no explanation, no nothing. So yikes, caught with their pants down. You can't do that kind of stuff. You can't break the law like that, right? Kate says Liberal operatives planted Stop the Steal button at a conservative conference. Here's the CBC reporting it. And it says Liberal Party says campaign regrettably got carried away with our use of buttons. Somebody gave the intern a button machine and, well, it got out. Ridiculous. You're going to not fire these people? What? Not name these people? 2 Liberal Party staffers attended last week's Canada Strong and Free Networking Conference, formerly the Manning Conference, where they planted buttons that used Trump-style language and highlighted division within the Conservative Party. The conference, often referred to by its former name, the Manning Conference, there you go, is an opportunity for conservative-leaning Canadians to talk about policy proposals and network. It was held at the Westin Hotel in downtown Ottawa. Some attendees noticed buttons appearing at the event. One said, Stop the Steal, an apparent reference to Donald Trump's attempt to overturn the result of the 2020 U.S. presidential election, which was stolen, and we're watching the litigation of that rolling out now, I think, honestly. Back to this. The Liberal Party of Canada has sought to tie conservative leader Poilievre to the American president in speeches and ads. Some conservative supporters have expressed skepticism about polling numbers that put the Liberals ahead because the poll methodology is crap and it cites 1,000 people. Like, that's crap methodology from crap polls. Like, this isn't some conspiracy theory. You could look at it and say, oh yeah, that looks suspect, right? Like, it's looking at mayonnaise that looks more yellow than white, right? Like, or black. You don't eat that stuff, man. Anyway, another button had the name Jenny Bryan crossed out with the name Corey T underneath. Bryan is the national campaign director for the Conservative Party of Canada. The other one is a longtime Conservative strategist who played a key role in Ontario Premier Ford's re-election campaign. He's been deeply critical of the Conservative Party of Canada's campaign to date. The buttons were scattered in the event space in a way to give the impression that they were made and left by people attending the conference. In fact, the idea came from the Liberal War Room. Buttons planted by 2 staffers on Friday night in 2 Ottawa bars. Campaign workers shared how the party was behind this move. 2 Liberal Party staffers attended the conference intended for the Conservatives and placed these buttons in areas where attendees would find them. At the pub Darcy McGee's near Parliament Hill, a number of Liberal War Room staffers met for drinks on the far side of the bar. This journalist joined one of them for a quick conversation, but heard another staffer who had previously identified himself as being involved in opposition research describe how he and a colleague planted the buttons. The staffer knew he was sitting next to a journalist. When confronted, the staffer at first confirmed what he'd done, but then denied saying anything when told that the CBC News would be reporting on the operation. Womp womp. Do you think I'll get in trouble? Yes. Yes, I do. A conservative source overheard the other conversation. So somebody else overheard the same thing, and they came back and they said, oh my gosh, I heard somebody else do that. So take it with a grain of salt, but Raquel Dancho believes it. She says, I never want to hear another liberal talk about the dangers of disinformation in our politics. This is the textbook definition of disinformation, and planting lies about an opposing party's position can never, ever be tolerated. Mark Carney needs to take responsibility for his employees' actions and denounce this crap immediately. People are going to forget. By tomorrow, you'll forget what this scandal is, probably. And Mark Carney will not have said, oh, we're really sorry about creating the buttons. By Friday, Button Gate will be over, and it'll be a new thing, right? And Carney's poll numbers will just miraculously continue to go up. It's crazy. It's crazy because it's not really connected to reality at all, right? Like usually if a scandal like this breaks, you get beaten over the head with the scandal like 3 times a day, right? You know, this gate, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's like, oh, the buttons. Oh no, the buttons. Have you heard about the buttons? And then not that people are sick of about it, but people get it repeated into their head and everybody talks about it because it's repeated. They've broken that. They don't talk about it anymore. They only talk about the polling numbers for Pierre Poilievre look like he's going to lose. And then people are talking about that instead of these mistakes by Pierre Poilievre. And if you think that's an accident, it's not. It's absolutely not. And so it's very interesting and frustrating because it seems like it's all part of the plan. If something goes badly, they let the press report on it, and then the news cycle gets taken over by negative Poilievre or negative whatever, negative Trump ads, negative whoever ads, and they move on and they hope that you forget in favor of the narrative they want you to remember, which they beat over your head, right? They use it all the time, leading story all the time. Steven's responding to this thing too. He says, Trump-style politics comes to Canada, courtesy of the Liberal War Room. Trump did this? I don't think Trump did that. Was Trump planting other people's campaign things? I don't think he even needed to. Like the Conservative Party, the Democrat Party in the United States needed to find a scapegoat who was going to lose, and either they convinced that, we can make you win, or she didn't mind losing. I think maybe they convinced her that she could win. They knew that they were going to lose, right? Like, I don't think Trump resorted to these kind of tactics, and it's weird that all of these people are attributing this stuff to Trump. Very strange. Rupa says, remember the swastika and Confederate flags at the Freedom Convoy? The ones nobody on the ground actually saw, but somehow we kept seeing the same few stock photos recycled over and over to paint the protesters as racist? Huh. Right from the Liberal War Room, you say? No. I'm shocked. Absolutely shocked. Here's House of Commons staffer responding to this whole thing. Jennifer says, he's responding to Jennifer, and she says, between these 2 news items today, one we haven't even talked about, Larry Brock, I guess it's the next tab, so we'll come back to this one. Larry Brock says, the document was found in a prison by a correctional officer, and it was aimed at turning inmates against conservatives. Are the Liberals really trying to win votes from convicted criminals by attacking conservatives' crime policies? Don't vote conservative. They won't let you out. So vote Liberal, because that means your day of freedom comes sooner. Wow, right? Like that's pretty incredible stuff. This after a decade of liberal soft on crime laws coddling criminals and unleashing chaos in our communities. So here's the actual paper. It's got Government of Canada letterhead, which is just, it's a nice touch because it's real. Conservative Pierre Poilievre, it says Conservative Pierre Poilievre's policy will ensure all inmates will live in the most severe conditions allowed by law and ensure justice is served to all victims of crime. Crime reform proposal. He's got the 3-strike law, a life sentence on serious offenses, less resources and funding for all federal prisons, the services available through this online portal, how to access them, and why you may want to register. I don't know about that part. But anyway, somebody's printed this off, and there's more information. Each one of those is a link, and there's a little blurb under each. But I think we've talked about what's going on in the policies that Poilievre wants. Sorry, I'm a little close here. Poilievre wants to implement, and I've talked about the 3-strike law, and I've said I'm not sure that actually serves Canadians or criminals really. Not to say that I don't want people in prison who've committed crimes. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying we could do better. We could be more surgical. We could do better than a blanket. It's like group punishment. It sounds good on paper, but it doesn't really work, and it punishes a lot of really good people when that's not necessary. I digress. We could do better, but this is egregious, absolutely egregious. So the government is sending letters targeted to criminals to make sure that the criminals understand that they should vote Liberal. Wow, right? And Jennifer says, between these two news items today, a lot of gutter politics is being played by the left. Shameful and disgusting. Not a good day in democracy. Yeah, and House of Commons staffer says, the document on the right, the prison letter, is something that I would generally suspect is fake, but I would have likely said the same thing about the Button story. That story on the Button story is true, makes the story about the prison letter more likely. By participating in a disinformation campaign, the Liberals have made all the disinformation campaigns more believable. Absolutely shameful campaign tactics. And I don't think Carney's going to come out and talk about this at all. I don't think he's going to come out and mea culpa. I don't think he's going to say, oh yeah, we're real sorry about all that. It's part of a broader campaign. Yesterday, they interviewed this guy, and he's a Liberal operative, huge Liberal operative. I've never heard of him or seen him before or anything like that. But listen to what he's saying. The Button campaign plays into what he's saying. The Conservatives are so nervous. The polls are making them nervous. There's lots of division in the Conservative arena. They're putting out, things like buttons. Like, I don't think maybe he doesn't mention the buttons, but he's implying that there's, issues in the Conservatives, and he's saying that they're going to deny the election results, right? So here's this, and I think this is playing right into the strategy. I think this strategy is bigger than you think. I think this is right up to the top. I think Mark Carney's got his signature on that, just like it's on the $20 bill. What?
On the part of voters. And they still haven't figured out how to manage the Trump question. And Trump was on our minds and on our phones and on our television screens all week long. And I think that's the essential part. And then when they are getting a moment of airspace on their own, what is he doing? He's having a Trumpy-like talkback with a female reporter, Poilievre, or he's holding giant rallies that evoke Trump, feel like Trump, smell like MAGA, and they actually have people with sweatshirts that
he's having big rallies. How dare he have big rallies, right? They smell like MAGA? What does that even mean?
Say, don't believe the polls. Now, there's a confident message. Don't believe the polls. We're not losing. Don't measure the size of our vote. Measure the size of the hall. It's if this was supposed to be the week where they were making an adjustment and a move, it has not shown up.
Right. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. And polls are coming out now. There was a poll yesterday. For the first time, Conservatives are in the lead against the Liberals in the new polling data. So again, it's all rigged. It's all rigged. If they give Poilievre to you, it will look like they just handed it to you, and they want you to work for it, right? And that way you're participating in the lie. Unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong. Linda Frum is responding to herself, and she says, yesterday, Carney offered up this jab. There are certain parties that just import all their slogans and their policies from America, but let's not import that nonsense into Canada. Was he aware that the Liberal war rooms for faux buttons scam at the time? You tell me. And Linda Frum again says, Carney is intimating without evidence that the Conservatives are preparing to sow doubt on Canada's electoral system if the party loses. It's divisive and small and not benefiting of someone, or not befitting someone who wants to lead the country. This is the same argument that Hillary Clinton had in 2016. Like, when I beat Trump, because all the polls say I'm going to beat Trump, just because he has bigger crowds than me, he's not going to accept it. He's going to say that there's problems with the election system, and that we have to shore up against that now to make sure they understand that the results of the election are the results of the election, right? It's a proxy to make sure that people fall in line when they give you the bad news that, oh man, Carney won, right? Just, skin of his teeth. Ooh, shudder. Greg says, who wore it better? The only thing I saw, we're going to look at the pandering in just a minute, but the only thing I could see was that shade of yellow. Do you know what that shade of yellow is? Do you know what that shade of yellow, that color is? That's the Khalistani colors. Weird, right? Weird. Now, Justin's is Khalistani, right? Jagmeet's Khalistani, right? They're pro-Khalistani big guys. And now, is that what this is supposed to signal? Also, what's his face? His wife is there. Mark Carney's wife is there, also wearing Khalistani yellow. And everybody's got their head covered, right? The whole thing. Is the Conservative Party of Canada compromised by the World Sikh Organization? Mocha, where you at, buddy? I need confirmation from Mocha about this, because I feel like every other conservative sign is like definitely related to the World Sikh Organization, if you know what I'm saying, right? Weird. Anyway, who wore it better, Pierre Poilievre or Khalistani Carney? Right? I don't know. It seems like they're both. It's really, really strange. We're just going to skip this one for a minute. Here's Mark Carney in the Gurdwara. I think that's how you say it, Gurdwara. And Mark Carney's wife on the left there, looking like E.T. E.T. It's so weird. It's such a weird thing, right? The wife is not the woman between Carney and his wife. That's somebody else sitting behind Carney and his wife. There's enough space to have an entire woman sitting cross-legged between Carney and his wife. And she's smiling affably, right? Oh, hello, everybody. But that's not his wife. The wife is the one who looks like E.T. further away, right here, right there. So weird. So very strange. It's these politicians doing this kind of photo op. This is supposed to inspire us. Does this inspire you? It doesn't inspire me at all. It makes me think these people are idiots. Like, what are they doing? Don't you have better things to do? What, couldn't you Skype in like to this whole thing? I don't understand what you're doing here. Here is Concerned Citizen. He says, meanwhile in Canada, new WEF shill Prime Minister Mark Carney dresses up as a Sikh to mark the holiday of Vaishakhi on Palm Sunday, by the way. Same obvious agenda everywhere across the West. They don't even try and hide it. It's really, really true. It's so weird. And again, here's Mark Carney looking like he's in physical pain as he stirs the soup. Like, yeah, stop hitting me. Oh. Right, there you go. There's your Khalistani flag. Everybody gets to wear Khalistani yellow, right? Whatever you're doing here, Khalistani yellow. So there you go. Unelectable, just ridiculous. Here is, this should have gone first. I just looked up Khalistani protest because I wanted to show you the yellow. See, there's the yellow, right? You see this, the yellow? There's the Khalistani guys and they're cutting up the Indian flag. And then here's, where's more yellow? There's the Khalistani flag, same flag. There's the yellow, same yellow. Same yellow Mark Carney and his wife are wearing. What's up with that, man? Right? What's up with that? Is that on purpose? Is that by accident? Do you not know what you're signaling with that? Here's Mario, and Mark Carney shows up to the Gurdwara I just showed you here, which is like a church for Sikhs. There's a big one in Guelph, big one, South End. But the Gurdwara he just showed up to was the same place where Barbara Ball, this is in Nepean, this is in his riding, and it's the same place where Barbara Ball got married, according to Mario here. And so Mario's telling this story, and he's laughing. But the thing that gets me is, like, how many conservative candidates got married in a Gurdwara, right? Jeepers creepers. Things seem just under the surface. What was it? Watch the Wives? Here we go.
Everyone's going to want to see this. This is Mark Carney, and he's pulling up somewhere. And you will have no idea where he's pulling up right now. I'll give you a hint. It's in Nepean. And I'll also give you a hint. This is one of the worst political blunders I think he's done in his whole campaigning in that area. Here's why. See, Mark Carney's not from there. He's got absolutely zero idea of the riding or the history. This is where he's showing up to right now. This is the Ottawa Sikh Society, as you can see. Now, here's the thing. The candidate that he's going against, Barbara Ball, she got married there. This is her. This is Dave. That's her husband. That's them together with Pierre Poilievre. And there's a reason they're wearing blue. In that first video, you saw someone walk by and they were wearing blue. This is Barbara Ball.
Okay. I found it so interesting. Like, how deep does this all go, right? Really? It's pretty crazy stuff, if you ask me. And so Carney is trying to get votes from the same Gurdwara that Barbara Ball got married at, and all of the associated related stuff that goes along with that. Weird. Very, very strange. Here is Brian Lilly. He's talking about where Mark Carney files his taxes. And he says, last week I wrote a column saying Mark Carney was less than clear about where he pays his personal taxes. CTV picked up the story this weekend, and Carney is still less than clear. I'll explain why this matters. It does matter. Where do you pay taxes? Where do you live, man? Like, do you live in Canada? How long do you live in Canada? How many months out of the last 48 months have you filed taxes in Canada? Because that's only 4 years, right? Like, that's not that long, but I don't know that he'd have, how many consecutive months do you live in Canada? Brian Lilly says, I'm told while Carney's language is precise and looks to be hiding something, the question he needs to answer should also be precise. The question should be, for which years did you or your accountant apply for you to be considered a non-resident of Canada with CRA for tax purposes? Great question. Great question. Something he needs to answer before he could become prime minister. I think we had that answer from Ignatieff. We knew, right? CBC Watcher says Mr. Carney has previously said that he will split the capital budget for items such as infrastructure and military equipment from the government's regular operating budget and balance the operating side within 3 years. That's not realistic unless he proposes a way to trim costs. It's interesting, like, if you have one income, like if you have a household income of whatever it is, right? $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, whatever it is, and you spend $400,000 a year, right? Splitting the operational cost with your vacation fund, right? And balancing one of those things, but not balancing the other, doesn't fix the problem at all. Your overspending is the problem, not the bucket of like where the spending is coming to or going to, et cetera, et cetera. You're just overspending and you need to fix that. The specifics don't matter. I mean, like, they matter, but like, it's not going to change the outcome at all. So it's a little bit of distraction. Yesterday, and I watched this and I thought, why did he repost this? But yesterday, this is what Mark Carney reposted. This to me, like, campaign in freefall. What are you doing? Like, this is from April 3rd. This is a statement from April 3rd, right after Trump implemented the tariffs. And I mean, since then, Trump's yo-yoed some tariffs. Canada was not included in the tariffs that he's talking about here. There's all sorts of problems with this statement, but it just stuck out to me because he already posted this. This has already been in the public arena. What the heck? Here's just Mark Carney really quick to remind you that this is like from April 3rd.
Yesterday's actions by the U.S. administration, while not specifically targeting Canada, will rupture the global economy and adversely affect global economic growth.
I mean, just in the bond market, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. And since then, Trump's like backtracked, done a couple of gymnastic flips, said, I'm not backtracking, and then threatened more people with tariffs. I'm not sure, really. But like the whole thing is not what Carney assessed on the day after tariffs on April 3rd. Everything's changed twice over and again. And so what? Like, it doesn't make any weak. It looks weak. It looks super, super weak. Cat Canada says Mark Carney doesn't like large American online platforms because of mean words. And she says, I told you he wants to ban X. He's probably got the idea from China. Here we go.
Large American online platforms have become seas of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate in all its forms. And they're being used by criminals to harm our children.
That's a whole lot of projection. Whole lot of projection there.
My government will act. And today we're announcing our plan to fight crime, to protect Canadians, and to build communities that are safe, secure, and strong. A plan to make Canada secure, to make Canada strong.
I don't believe anything he said. I don't believe anything he said in the frame he said it. He's not believable. Global News says, with more Canadians opting for local vacations amid ongoing trade tensions with the United States, Liberal leader Carney introduces a Canada Strong Pass, calling it a way to make it easier for families and young people to explore the country this summer. You know, the country that they've never explored before because they just got here. They've done this before, and it was a disaster because the parks got really, really, really busy, and it was a disaster. It's recycled. It's a campaign that doesn't have any idea what to do because all of the things that they're putting forward are pretty terrible and or are campaign promises they made over the last 10 years that they haven't been able to deliver on. So they say, oh, yeah, we'll deliver now. Sure you will, except that that's not believable. And so it doesn't look like a campaign that's being run by the smartest central banker you ever did meet. Like, it looks like a campaign being run by a frigging idiot. And the whole bunch of the team of idiots who was running the last guy. So, I'm over it. But it seems like they're in control of the polling firms and maybe the elections in Canada. So they may put themselves back in charge, quite honestly. And like, I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Carney wins, not because he's popular and not because anybody that I know supports him, but because our elections are completely rigged. Sorry, they just are. Here's Maxime Bernier. He says he's reporting this Penticton News, or Penticton Herald, says Maxime Bernier visits Summerland Osius. I'm getting them so wrong. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. It's just my brain just doesn't work to read names, I guess. Anyway, Bernier says, Maxime Bernier argues the PPC is more distinct from the CPC than the CPC is distinct from the Liberals, especially after Prime Minister Carney stole CPC leader Poilievre's plan to axe the carbon tax. I think that's accurate. I think that that's true. I think that Poilievre represents a lot of similar policies, and that concerns me greatly. Mr. Carney is making explicit noises about censoring the internet. Mr. Poilievre says he won't, but also says anti-Semitism is a big problem. We already have anti-Semitism laws on the books, and like encoded in law, right? In Canada, we do. And so I fear that he could use that to change how the internet is policed and achieve something similar to what Keir Starmer is doing in the UK without changing anything really, whereas the Liberals are trying to directly go for censorship laws. And I've said that I think Poilievre's probably the better of the two choices if all we have are the two choices, but given my druthers, I'd have PPC. I mean, they are on the ballot and able to be voted for and seem to have a lot of candidates. But if in a perfect world, it would be 338 people who had nothing to do with anything, who are drawn by a lottery. They decide who the prime minister is through some other mechanism, and I don't know how to do that. And they decide who's opposition or who's I don't know how you figure out who's in the governing party and who's in the opposition in that configuration. But those are details. I just feel like 338 independent people who want to put Canada first would be better than 338 or 342 ideologically tied people, tied to parties, tied to the brainwashing that's been forced on us through television and all the rest. Like, the independents would have that problem too, but they would work for their constituents, not for the party, right? I don't know. I have a problem with how all of this is working because it seems like it's not working well. And the citizens don't really get a say. The citizens aren't able to participate in this, even though we play a role. Our participation is minimal, really. Like, it doesn't really matter. And even if it does matter, the CPC convention, there was a whole bunch of people who voted for certain things. Supply management was one of them, and the CPC said, "Thanks for your input. Go away." And that was that, right? So I mean, we participate, but we don't have a really impactful participation. And so I feel itchy about that. The last story for the free show today is the National Post is reporting that Jagmeet Singh appears to be doomed in his own riding, thank goodness, with a polling aggregator giving the Liberal opponent 94% chance of beating Jagmeet Singh. So only 6% chance to win. Darn shucks, Jagmeet. Say it ain't so. Do you think the NDP jettison their leader after that? I hope so. I think that's like that's what you do. If the leader takes your party from 20% in the polls to 8% in the polls and then they lose their seat, you get rid of that leader because he's terrible. And you get rid of Charlie Angus too because he's worse. I mean, maybe there's an opportunity to rebuild the NDP. Anybody want to go take over a federal party with me? Ridiculous, right? Okay, everybody on the stream, thanks for watching. Oh, this is worthwhile. This is really good. Mike Benz is going through how the powers that be use NGOs to encourage governments to change to take on laws that remove free speech. And the breakdown is pretty quick, but we've got to say goodbye. So thanks for watching, everybody on the stream. We'll catch you tomorrow. And hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful